Holiday decorations can cause friction in community associations if residents feel that they are being singled out and punished for decorations when others aren't. So it's important to have guidelines that cover 4 key points to reduce issues around holiday decorations in HOAs. Once you have those, the challenge is communicating those guidelines to residents. So let's get right into it and find out more. The first thing to have is a timeline for when decorations are allowed. So the standard rule is that decorations are allowed for 30 days around the holidays. So for Christmas, lights would be allowed up at the start of December until the start of January. The other common rule that you see is that there are set periods. So for instance, from Thanksgiving until early January, Christmas decorations are allowed up. After that, you have noise limits. So some decorations make a noise, like those little Santas that sing, those sorts of things. So you have 2 options. You either create a blanket ban, or you impose set times that those decorations are allowed to make noise. If you completely ban those decorations, you need to have a good reason. And you need to ensure that it really is a full ban. You cannot make any exceptions. If you choose to have set times, then you need to include what those times are and when they are not allowed to be on. So maybe 9 a.m. to 7 p.m. you can make noise, and after that you cannot. But the board needs to decide what makes sense for their community. Again, you do need to have a reason. So with noise, often it's about disturbing the neighborhood. The penultimate key point is the size of holiday decorations that residents are allowed. So how big can decorations be before they become a nuisance? Often HOAs regulate inflatable decorations or ones that are anchored on. So they can be dangerous if those decorations blow away. You could also create a rule that any decorations that have to be mounted, like those reindeers on roofs, they need to be approved by the Architectural Review Committee if your HOA has one. The other issue to consider is that people really get over enthusiastic about their decorations, right? And you could end up with 10 feet Santas all over the place. So regulating the height and the width of those decorations might be a good idea to avoid any issues. Last but not least, you have lights. So bright lights can be hazardous if they're by a road. So if someone is driving by or someone steps into the road, they could be blinded by those lights. So that is something to consider, looking into those lights. The other thing is flashing lights, or lights that are on all night. They disturb neighbors, so they are a nuisance. So if they flash a lot, they could cause seizures. So they shouldn't be allowed to flash more than twice a second. And it is a good idea to have rules for how long lights are on for, so that other people's sleep is not disturbed. These are the 4 key points that you should have specific rules on. Having those rules will reduce complaints from other residents feeling that they're not being treated fairly. You can refer to those rules. But the problem is that if you have the rules, how do you then communicate with residents about those new rules so that they don't have any violations without knowing it? So the best way is to consistently communicate those rules around big holidays. So if Thanksgiving or Christmas is coming up, then you should send out a reminder with all of those rules about decorating to residents by emails. So you should send them to both owners and tenants. If you have a newsletter, you can also include a small section on those rules to remind residents. We have a newsletter template available for download in the description box down below that might help you with that. By having rules that address the main problems around decoration and communicating those guidelines with residents consistently, you should reduce the number of complaints and violations that you get in your community over the holiday period.